To be alone is one of the greatest gifts that we could ever give to ourselves. It's a time to reconnect with our own soul, to remember our deepest desires, where we're heading, what we want to cultivate with our time here, and whom we want to spend our time with. For me, it's a time when all the noise and pressure from all of the things outside of myself just fall away, and I'm able to hear again what really truly inspires me, what I'm feeling most called to create right here in this moment, and with the beautiful gift of this life that I've been given. For what better way to honor such a gift than to create beauty? My name is Rain, and this is Honeywolf. And that beautiful old truck you saw in the background there, that's Scarlet. And we live a semi-nomadic life and are currently living full-time on the road, making our way back up to Oregon to teach at a primitive skills gathering called the Sharpening Stone. And while life on the road is absolutely beautiful, it's not without its challenges. And so Honey and I take every opportunity that we can to find solace and solitude somewhere out in the wilderness, oftentimes at a hot spring. For me, these wild hot springs that we often seek out are like coming back to the womb of the earth. It's a time to slow down and honestly, to clean my body. As you can see, after leaving Linnea's place, I had a nice healthy earthen crust on me, and so our first move was to go find this beautiful place that's nestled within the mountains of southern Colorado. While I was soaking, I happened to notice some mayflies floating around, and so I picked out the fly that looked most like the mayflies and decided to try it out. Now right here I'm tying a fisherman's knot. It's a very simple knot. You just twist the line on itself and bring the tail back through the loop and pull on the long end, and voila. Now I knew that because the spring runoff was so high, there was very little chance of me actually catching anything, but I decided to try anyway, and what better way to relax after a nice long soak in a hot spring than fishing on the river. Now, I'm not your average camper who just brings freeze-dried meals with them everywhere they go. When I'm on the road, I definitely don't sacrifice on food. Unfortunately, I was hoping for these tacos to be fish tacos, but as it was, there were no fish, so they ended up being more like breakfast tacos. Still yummy, though. Those are some hatch green chilies that we're putting on there. Yum. Now, I was getting pretty excited to spend a few days up here and just unplug, but unfortunately the weather had other plans. Over the course of the night, it had rained heavy all night, and I woke up to a snowstorm. Even though I had come in after dark the night before, I knew that the 7-mile sloppy dirt road in would not do well if it was too wet. And so, because I had absolutely no idea what the weather forecast was calling for and was not willing to risk getting stuck up there for days on end, I decided it was best to start making the trek down the mountain, which ended up being a little dicey. We actually had to drop into 4 low in order to make it through the super muddy section, but we made it, and I'm sure glad we left when we did, because as it turns out, there was a couple days of snow in the forecast, and we were able to make it over the mountain passes just before the snow really picked up and onto the other side where it was beautiful and sunny. Along the way, I noticed that an old friend was in bloom. This is serviceberry, Utah serviceberry specifically, also known as Saskatoon or Juneberry. And if you like blueberries, you have got to try these. They have a nutty sweetness to them. They're less acidic and are also very high in pectin, which makes a great jam and are great for making pemmican. We arrived in the small town of Paonia just in time for our friend's little birthday party / garden work party, which was hosted here at this site. And unfortunately, I came down with a serious case of strep throat, and I was fighting that off for a couple days, trying every natural method I could, and eventually went to the doctor to get a prescription for some antibiotics because it was not going away. After the doctor visit, we went to the pharmacy and got the goods and hit the road again, and ended up in a really beautiful place that felt like the perfect place to rest and heal up. And to be perfectly honest, I kind of fell in love. So much so that I had to write a song about it.
There was something in the way she first laid eyes on me. I was a weary traveler in need of a resting place. With tender warmth, she welcomed me in, nothing but genuine kindness upon her face. And captivated by her rugged beauty, drawn in by the softness of a mother's embrace. Upon her bosom I could lay for a while, but come the dawn I'd be on my way. And I wonder if she knows I must be leaving. This is only gonna be a one-night stand. No time for reverie in her red rock canyons. I'm no king for her castle made of sand. Oh Dolores, I'm but a traveler in these lands. There was something in the way she wears her heart on her sleeve that tells me she's someone I can fully trust. In all her expressions, from her salt cedar green all the way to her bloody nectarine sunset diced, and something in the shimmering of her cottonwood leaves dancing to the song of her windy breath that's making it hard for this old tumbleweed to catch the breeze again, keep a rambling. And it's her wonder that's keeping me from leaving. This was only supposed to be a one-night stand, but I'm finding reverie in her rock canyons, feeling like a king in her castle made of sand. Oh Dolores, one more night within your hands.
Hey y'all, sitting here with Honey, and it's been a hell of a long day. We're on the road making our way back to Oregon, and the last couple days I actually came down with strep throat and been trying to knock it with all the natural remedies I could think of and all the medicines that I have in my kit, but it hasn't been going away, and it's been getting worse. And so before continuing on the road and going back to the desert, where I'll be quite a bit removed from any potential services, decided to go to the doctor for the first time in a long time, maybe even close to a decade now, and got me some good old-fashioned modern medicine antibiotics, which is the first time I've taken that in definitely over a decade. And anyways, long day. We finally got back on the road and made it to this beautiful place. It is stunning here. Just outside of Utah, and I just
Was feeling really excited to be back in the desert and wanted to share a couple of my friends with y'all. Here we go. So I can't tell you how happy I am to see these guys again. Globe mallow is such a special treat here in the desert in the spring. The blossoms are super sweet and really beautiful on top of it. To be honest, I don't actually know all that much about it, other than blossoms are edible and delicious. And this is salt cedar. This is a plant that I totally fell in love with last year when I was down in Utah. It's actually a really strong hardwood that is a great bowwood if you can find the right piece. And on top of it, the blossoms in the spring are just so gorgeous, and the contrast of like the red stem with the purple blossom and like the blue green, I guess you call them needles. They're like very beautiful, light, wispy needles, and yeah, it just really does it for me. Gotta say, Scarlet sure does look good in the red sands.
Now, I had never been to this area before, and so I really had no idea what to expect. Initially, I was only planning to spend one night here, but upon arriving at this beautiful camp with firewood already stocked and just like this nestled, like safe feeling, I decided I'd probably end up spending a little bit more time than that. And even though I was running a fever and was really tired, arriving in such a beautiful place often makes me feel like it's important to try to start the fire with a hand drill. So we got our little nest to catch our coal. This is the cambium of cottonwood bark. And it helps if you can find some cattail duff. Usually you can find them nearby at the cottonwoods because they both grow in the river sheds, watersheds, and riparian zones. And then this guy here is actually a piece of sycamore root that I found down in New Mexico, and I fell in love with it. And I'm not actually sure what the material is of this spindle, but it is a great combination for a hand drill. I must have tried something like 4 times that evening, and unfortunately my fevered muscles just would not cooperate, and I was not able to get a coal. So it was time to use the old thumb drill, good old-fashioned lighter, and eat some soup and call it a night. I was feeling so much better the next morning. My fever had broken the night, and so I decided I was going to take the day to tackle some projects that I was behind on. So while I was down in New Mexico, I did a few big harvests. Gathered a bunch of willow and yucca for basketry, and I also gathered a bunch of red dock, which are these tubers that I have here. It's also known as tanner's dock, or the native name canagre. These beautiful, beautiful tubers. I've always wished that they're edible because they're incredibly satisfying to harvest, pretty easy to dig up, and very abundant in the area that I did this harvest at. And the reason I gathered these is primarily for tanning. They're extremely high in tannic acid, and so my primary purpose for gathering these is to use them to tan hides. But they're also, because of the tannic acid, they're very astringent, and so they're really good for your gums and teeth. I might end up keeping some of it in powdered form for that purpose as well. It's also a great powder to pack into a wound, helps stop the bleeding. I actually last year, actually 2 years ago now, when I was building a bisonhide frame, cutting notches in the frame, the knife that I was using slipped and jumped and bit me right here, and dang near cut my finger off. But I was actually able to get it healed up with just a steri-strip and some wound powder, which the primary ingredient of is these guys here. So it definitely works. And yeah, so while I'm at this camp, I'm thinking I need to catch up on processing some of the materials, the red dock being first and foremost, and then I actually gotta process all this yucca, which I don't know if I'll get all the way through at this camp, but I'm gonna try. After a full day of cutting up the red dock and getting it all dried out, and another full day of processing as much of the yucca as we could, it was almost time to hit the road. We decided to stay one more night, and in order to honor this beautiful place, decided it was proper to get a friction fire coal for the last night's fire. It's always such a blessing to find a camp like this where we have access to water, a beautiful, comfortable space to be in, and not too many people around, so we get the solitude that we're craving. For those of you who have never witnessed a fire started by friction, I decided to leave this video clip unedited just to show you that it can actually come pretty quickly, depending. And for those of you who have never experienced it yourself, getting a fire either with a hand drill or a bow drill, it can be one of the most empowering and enlivening experiences. Oftentimes can evoke a lot of emotion. And for me, it's a pretty spiritual experience. It really feels like harvesting a seed from the sun.
Singing, come, 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 little piece of sun. And sing a song of where you're traveling from. Your glow is warm, your color shines so bright. So come, 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 little piece of light. Welcome.
To me, it really almost feels like giving birth, like bringing a new soul into this world, and given the proper conditions, the right amount of love and care and nurturing, it can grow into a beautiful, brilliant flame whose presence will warm you and feed you in return. Because I arrived here at such a low point, and the way this place held me and nurtured me, I guess I felt like she was the tinder bundle for me, and she gave me just the right amount of breath to bring me back to life.
Giving thanks for the gift of fire. Oh, Dolores, in your sanctuary, I found the strength needed to heal. You treated me like royalty, and the freedom you gave helped me to feel a sense of safety I was desperately needing, and a familiar sense of my own soul. Your vermilion sands polished me to shining, and in your loving embrace I found a home. And now she's wondering why I must be leaving. Well, this was only supposed to be a one-night stand, but I was lost in the reverie of her rock canyons and became a king in her castle made of sand. Oh, Dolores, I hate to leave you this way, but Dolores, you know I'll be back again.
And so, we were back on the road. Sure was hard to leave, but I know we'll be back. We decided to head straight for Oregon and skip all the major stops we intended for along the way, as I have some stuff to take care of before the gathering next week. And so we hightailed it straight for this beautiful hot spring.
We just arrived here in Southern Oregon at one of my favorite hot springs. Foraging. It's this beautiful oasis in the middle of the desert, um, and all these birds come here to sing. Mostly red-winged blackbirds, but I was actually hearing some sandhill cranes earlier, and we got sage grouse, and gosh, I don't even know what else, but it is magical. Just hearing these songs. It's been going on for hours, um, and it just doesn't seem to stop. Everybody's rejoicing to be alive here in the desert where there's so much water and an abundant ecosystem. But we finally made it. So, we're sitting here on top of this hill, about, maybe a mile and a half or so from the hot springs, over that way. And just wanted to give a moment to give thanks to Honey for being so patient, for sitting up here with me for the last day and a half while I edit this video. And also just wanted to thank everybody for coming over to the channel and watching. And if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe. I'm going to be putting out some more videos here soon. And yeah, thanks for watching. This is what I look like after hours of staring at a screen editing videos. But look at the view that I have from my office. Not too bad.
All right, that's good enough. I gotta get to another hot spring.